All right, everybody. We are here on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon with Hayley. Welcome, Hayley. Thank you for joining me today.
You're very welcome.
I'm really excited about this because it's really the beginning of an experiment of publishing life coaching videos with some of my very, very brave, courageous, and awesome clients like Hayley. And really the idea behind that is to give you as the viewer the opportunity to learn from this conversation and from the process and see how it works and see what the experience is like. But also I've always found that watching other people receiving help in this kind of format is so helpful for me in my own analysis, right? Because oftentimes the other person will bring something up that I hadn't thought about before, but really resonated, etc. So then I can take that back to my coach and we can talk about that. And so Hayley was so kind to volunteer for this and will share some of her story with you. Just as a background, we've been working together for, how long might it have been, Hayley? I think it's been, I can actually look it up exactly, since September. And Hayley came to me because she has a very successful business in South London, a Italian tapas bar, and is a very renowned chef and has got lots of great success stories in that area. But there was a sense of seeking something else, potentially changing direction, wanting maybe to sell the business or not. So there was a lot of clarity around, okay, I'm having this life, but there's something else that I want. Maybe you can speak a little bit more to that, Hayley. What was the situation that originally brought you to coaching in the first place?
I think I've always had an interest in it, excuse me, from quite a young age. And I just feel that my kind of chef career has kind of finished. As much as I love it, I just feel that I need something else, and just to move on in a different direction, I think. I've always loved helping people, and I think I do quite a lot of that within my job anyway. And it just feels the right time to be moving forward and doing something different, and leaving that just feels like it's more or less the past to me now already.
So crazy. Yeah, because in the meantime, like just the last few months, you've already taken so many steps towards the new direction, and that's also involving coaching and mental health, and you have a great story of like helping family members and other people, as you're saying, even in the restaurant, reflecting and getting better and feeling great about themselves. And you've always been this person that people go to, right, when they're when they need somebody to have a pep talk with. So that's really, really awesome. And so you brought something. Normally in the beginning of the calls, what we do is we'll talk about what kind of where have you focused your attention over the last couple of weeks, what kind of things have you worked towards, and what kind of challenges also you've encountered with the work that you've been doing with that. And then I always ask everybody in that preparation form to come with 1 or 2 or 3 even specific things that they would like to get out of the session. And in your case, where what you asked to talk about was your limiting beliefs around success and moving through those. And also you said you wanted to come up with some goals for your coaching practice that you're in the process of building now. And I thought that was really so fitting because they kind of go hand in hand, don't they? In terms of, okay, well, what is my definition of success? What do I actually believe? What's maybe holding me back from realizing success, whatever that means? Because by many people's standards, I would think that they consider you as being successful, right?
Yeah.
So let's, I suppose that's the thing, right? Like if we don't feel it, what's the disconnect? And that's, I think, what we can discover today. I will be working with you just as normal, so I'll keep taking notes in my file like I always do, and we'll dive into this a little bit more. What do you think prompted you to think about this definition of success and the limiting beliefs around that? How did that come up for you?
Well, like just what you just said, people think that I'm successful, and I've never really felt successful. I think I've been successful in certain areas, but I've always felt there was more. and when I started this coaching process, I thought, well, what is that more? What I'm happy in most areas of my life. So where is this? I need something different coming from. So I started with my fellow students at my coaching school. I started to look into it a little bit more, and I think we came up with that when I was at school, I was bullied, and I was bullied because I was successful at school. I was like a straight A student. I always got good grades, and I wasn't particularly liked for that. So through a coaching process, I think I realised that I was being bullied for my success, and so maybe that's why I've got this issue around being as successful as I can be. I think. I'm not sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's explore that a little bit more.
It'd be a good thing to explore a little bit deeper.
Yeah, for sure. So and we will go back to this, sort of the early decisions around what it means to be successful, especially if it's been painful, like being bullied for it at school. That's not very nice.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to that in a second. And I just want to clarify one thing before we go there, which is if you imagined yourself as feeling fully successful within yourself, what will having that do for you? How will that be different to your current experience?
I think I would feel more successful. I always feel that I'm nearly there, but I'm not quite there. So I think physically my feelings would change. I think that's the main thing, that it's the feeling that I'm succeeding in all areas of my life. Financially, I'm very up and down with my finances. I always have enough. I never have too much. But I'm always scrabbling for savings or the rainy day money. So that area I think could definitely be worked on. And I think if I had a rainy day pot, I would definitely feel more successful. But yes, I think generally it's the feeling of success and the feeling of winning the game. I always feel I'm scrabbling and I'm at the top of the ladder, but I'm not quite there. And so I think it's more of a feeling.
Yeah. And so I'm sure this is an experience that many, many people can resonate with, first of all, right? Like this idea of feeling like you're almost there, but never quite there, whatever there is, right? The desire to feel successful. And we are making it dependent on something on the outside, right? Like something on the outside, whether it's money or something, has to create or support us and our stories in a way that it makes us feel successful. What I would like to explore is when, I'm pretty certain that there was a time, even just a moment, when you felt successful in the past. Can you remember one?
When I got a job for cooking for a high profile client.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And that again, that went from very like, oh my God, I've got this job, to as soon as you've got it, then oh my God, I've got to start this job. Then so that went. So but yes, no, I definitely felt successful then. I think I feel successful when I'm just starting something. I like starting things. So when I decided that I was going to get my tapas bar business, I felt successful then because it was a new, exciting adventure. And yeah, I never thought that before. So when I'm starting something, I'm like, because I've got that rush of adrenaline and excitement, and I feel that I'm progressing fast. So that's definitely, so I probably do feel quite successful at the beginning of all my ventures.
And so what do you think prevents you from sustaining that beyond the beginning? What happens after that initial rush of adrenaline and the progression that may take away from that feeling? Because it's evidently not money. Like you didn't mention anything about when you had a ton of money or little money or whatever. It wasn't about that, right? It was about starting this new high profile client, which, by the way, everybody of you watching, I know what she's referring to, and everybody would be like, holy shit, you did this? That's fucking crazy. So yes, I could see that would, elevate your confidence and make you feel successful. But it wasn't about the money that you made in that job, was it?
I think it does sometimes. I think my inability to keep hold of money definitely is an area of why I don't feel successful. I don't fritter money necessarily. Sometimes I do, but I think I will always find something to spend it on, whether it be a good thing or a bad thing. It's always, even if I'll save up for a few months, I'll find something that's really necessary to go and spend it on. So I think money does have an element, definitely. But what else prevents me or not feeling successful? I don't know. Maybe I'll just get used to it. Maybe I'll just get used to, oh, I've done it now. I've got here. It's the longevity, I think. It's I've always moved quickly from position to position, because I feel once you've got there, I feel that I've got there quite quickly, I think. And then I get bored and want to do something else.
Yeah, that's great. And so I think this highlights two things. One of them has come up before in our work together, which was this feeling of, like you just actually said it earlier too. Let me scroll back up. You were saying that, you've always had enough money, but you've also never had too much money. So this kind of keeping it at a point where, making a lot of money would actually lead you to give it away in some shape or form, right? So there's that. And then the other thing around wanting to start something and feeling successful in that initial phase, and then when it becomes like more long term, it's feeling less successful. So what I'm curious about is, if you think just in general terms, when you think of a successful person, can you think of somebody that you would perceive as being really successful?
Oh, there's lots of people.
Just anyone. It could be somebody famous, can be somebody completely ordinary, but you just have a sense that they are successful. I would just want to dig a little bit deeper into how do you know?
Yes. I've got a friend who I think is very successful.
Okay, great. So tell me more about them. What is it that makes them appear as successful to you?
They love what they do. They are completely passionate about what they do. What they do is amazing, and it's working. It's a very viable business, and I think she's immersed in it, and that is her all. And it's her all.
Have you ever felt that for yourself?
No.
Do you desire it?
Sorry?
Do you desire it? Do you desire feeling that way?
I think so, yes, maybe. Yes, I think it's, although I've been good at things, it hasn't been completely my passion. And although I've loved it, I love lots of things. So I think maybe that's Yeah, because even though she is completely immersed in her business and puts it first a lot of the times, she will she's got family, and she makes sure that everything else is okay, but that is her passion. And if she does, she immerses herself and gives herself completely to that business, because she wants to, and no other reason. She wants to. And yes, it might be hard work on some days, but we all work hard. So it's that, I think it's the immersion into the business that I think that's successful when you love what you do, and it's your everything. And I think, I don't think I've had that.
What do you think makes someone like her be that immersed and, really, really want to do that thing? What would they have to believe to be that immersed, to be so passionate about what they do, what she does? I think it's a lady, you said.
Yeah. Well, it's what she was meant to be doing, I suppose. I don't know. I've never done it. Mm-hmm. The way she is, it's just what she does. It's just her thing, and she loves it. She hates it some days, but she generally loves it. And I suppose she never really hates it. But I think it's just, she just knows that that's what she's meant to be doing. There's no question of what else is there. Mm-hmm. It's just this is me, and this is what I do.
Mm-hmm. So there's a sense of identity around it. This is me.
I think so. Yeah.
Do you know
and I don't.
Go on.
Sorry.
Go on.
I don't. Other successful people, I'm trying to think if that fits in with my perception of them, but I don't know them as well as I know her, and I know that about her. So others, that's why I thought of her, because other successful people, I could perceive them to be successful, but I don't actually know. Whereas I know she's successful, because I know that's I suppose that's what I perceive to be successful.
How do you know? So, what do you make it know? Like, what do you make it known by to you? What are the?
Because when I'm with her, I feel it. I can feel how she feels about her business. I can feel the passion. I can feel the love for it. I can feel the drive, the energy. It's unconditional. It's unconditional, and it's there is, I suppose there is just nothing else really.
Could it be? Is it possible that this lady may come across as very passionate and loving it and having a lot of drive and energy, etc., but may in herself not feel successful?
In herself not feel successful? I can't see it, no. But yes, it's a possibility. Yes, I suppose
I don't know,
so.
because that's the question, isn't it? When we, because we're kind of comparing our insides with somebody else's outside often. Yeah. And, very many, even from within my clients, I can for sure say that there are certain people who look extremely successful on the outside, whether it's by financial standards, by how they dress, how they behave, how they, hold themselves in a public context, etc. And yet they cannot feel successful on the inside. Because either there's another thing that they would have to achieve, or their interests are also somewhere else, or they feel just, some sense of something that prevents them from feeling that truly. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up is you were mentioning about her, that's just what she was always meant to do. Right? Do you know her story of how she got into this business? Has she always done this exact business since she was like a teenager or something?
No, she hasn't. No. no, this is no. She's had this business for about 10 years, and she's I don't know how old she is. I want to say 50.
In the middle ages.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think in her early 40s, she changed careers completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's used a lot of what she knew in her last career for this business, and she was extremely what I would perceive to be extremely successful in her last business, but it wasn't her passion. So yes, yeah, you're right. It is what people perceive to be successful. And I'm going to ask her if she feels successful, actually, and see what she says. I've never asked people that I've looked at to be successful if they feel it. I don't know. Do you ever feel successful? I don't know. I'd like to. I think that would be a lovely feeling. I don't think the feeling of success necessarily means that you're not looking for another goal or another thing to achieve. But just that slight satisfaction would be nice, of feeling.
So let's talk about that more, that sense of satisfaction, because I think you're right. The definition of what it means to be successful is probably different for everyone else, and I'm excited for you to ask her, what her perception is internally, and also you might even ask her, has this really been the one thing that she feels she was meant to do, right? Because I think often we have this idea or even illusion that when we know what the one thing is that we are meant to do, then we'll feel all these feelings. But when you speak to people that we now consider successful or that we perceive as loving what they do, they certainly had a period of not knowing, or the feeling of being good at something came with time, or as they were building the business, or they hit a particular point and they were feeling this feeling of being meant to do this. But I'm not sure that one would just wake up one morning and be like, oh, I'm going to have this cleaning business and that's what I'm meant to do, or be a nurse and that's what I'm meant to do, and then do that with passion. I think the passion is really something often that builds over time, right? Like, because we feel autonomy, we feel progress, we feel like we can grow and learn and master something, all of these things. So it'd be great, I think, to have that conversation.
Just said nurse, because my mum always wanted to know that she was going to be, always knew that she wanted to be a nurse from 14. So maybe that's why I feel that I always think I should know what I'm meant to be doing. And that also raises the question, am I selling my business too fast? Because that question keeps coming up over and over and over again in my head, because I can do that alongside my coaching, and the business is still growing. So that again, that keeps coming up, and I'm passionate about it. But am I again moving on to something else too soon before it's successful? I don't know.
So let's just assume for now that whether you do this business or the other business has nothing to do whether you feel like successful or not. Are you willing to play a little bit around that area? Let's just assume it's just on the inside. You mentioned that there should be a slight sensation of satisfaction. What kind of thoughts do you think, or beliefs, would that be born out of to feel a sense of satisfaction?
Sorry, I don't understand the question. What thoughts?
So I'm wondering if one part of the definition of success is around, a sensation of satisfaction, was what you said earlier, right?
Yeah.
What kind of thoughts would someone that feels a sense of satisfaction think? Because remember, we were talking about this idea that really there's circumstance, thought, then emotion, then action and result as a basic coaching model, right? So we would assume that it's the thought about the thing that we're doing that creates a particular sense. So let's just assume, you know, in the restaurant, as a restaurant owner, you think one way about doing that work and immersing yourself in that, creating one emotion, or you think another kind of a thought, for example, this sucks, and you create a negative emotion from that. So I'm wondering, in order to feel an emotion of satisfaction, what kind of thoughts would one have about one's work?
Rapid growth springs to mind. And I think that's why I enjoy starting things, because you're growing rapidly. So that makes a lot of sense. And yes, I think if I'm not growing rapidly, I get bored. So therefore I just think, whoa, this isn't working, so I'll try something else. Even though I think the restaurant business, or my chef career in general, I suppose, that was very easy to change quickly, because people often need chefs. So that was easy for me to keep growing quickly. And but with the restaurant, that's been a very up and down growth, and a certain sense of stuckness I think I've got now will obviously make me feel not successful.
Right.
Because there isn't that rapid growth. So yes, you're right. It's not about the money. It's about moving forward quickly. I'm not very good at staying still.
So what does it do when you think back to the times where you had a lot of rapid growth, whether it was at the beginning of your restaurant or at the beginning of your, kind of as you were progressing to the clients, and then this crazy, very famous person and their family to cook for them? What was that experience like for you to have this sense of rapid growth?
I was very busy. I was very excited. I always felt that I was on top of things because I had to be, because I had so much to do. There wasn't an issue of whether I had something to do or not. I had to do it because I was so busy. So that excites me, that when I'm that busy. What else? Yeah, a sense of not quite knowing how it's going to pan out, not quite knowing, but believing very, very fully that it will get there. Completely believing in what I'm doing and working as hard as I can to achieve that. And I suppose at the beginning, like with, I would presume, most new jobs, you've got that momentum, you've got that rush kind of thing that keeps you waking up every morning, getting up and doing as much as you can in the period of time that you've got, which is all day. and therefore you're rolling forward very quickly. And then I suppose after a period of time that levels out, and that leveling out is where I struggle, and I'm very good at picking myself up on certain levels, but I think because I've been doing that now for 4.5 years, I think I'm like, right, okay, I'm done with this. And that's where that I've hit that plateau that I just can't find the energy to keep excited about it, even though I still believe in it fully. Which is sad.
I mean, that's just your reality at the moment. I think what this shows is just so many essentially what we would call rules that you have in your system about what it means and when you feel to be successful, right? So for example, you were saying that you like it because it's like this rapid growth phase is very busy, you feel excited, you feel on top of things because you kind of have to be, and busy equals exciting, right? Busy doesn't equal exciting for everybody, right? So in your world, that's that. And then this idea of, or the sense of not quite knowing how it's going to pan out, but actually believing that it's going to get there, right? So there's an element of uncertainty you like about that phase. Yeah. And so now after 4 years, there is only so much uncertainty left, right? Like it's working, you know, the business is working, but there's less of a challenge, less of a growth happening, right?
Yeah.
And so they're just, you're just, that's just your experience. There's no judgment in whether that's right or wrong or good or bad. I think one interesting sort of intersection is to think about, okay, going forwards, if you think about sort of there's always two facets, isn't there, about how we can work on creating a specific outcome or desired experience. One is to work on the actual life experience, the actual improving, making changes. For example, in your case, it may be that we look at how to create more rapid growth and newness and uncertainty in the restaurant business. On the other hand, we can look at the blueprint of how you think what needs to happen in order for you to feel successful. And we can match that more to your reality, right? So as Tony Robbins would say, when your blueprint, your idea of how you thought life would pan out or business should pan out, matches your real life, it's happiness. But when it starts to not match, then it's either frustration, or at the worst, it's like really pervasive and like it seems permanent. Then it gets to like depression stage, right? When we feel like we cannot get what we thought we were going to get, then it gets really destructive for the self. So at this point, I guess for you, the great question is, because it's, of course, it's an option to seek the newness and the progress and the rapid change and growth from the new business. But the question is, I think also, do you want to actually have the experience of very busy, new stuff, excited, a sense of not quite knowing on a constant basis in that business also? Or would you want to match it more to what could also happen, which is you have that initial period of growth, and then either, you create very consciously a sequence of growth and progress, but then you can also do that with the restaurant business. So do you know what I mean? Like where I'm getting at?
Yeah.
What comes up for you?
Yeah, I do. I think I always need rapid growth, definitely. I think, and that's not very realistic, is it?
It can be. Like, I think well, why not, right? Like, there are many people, and this is why I think we're discussing this, because if we know how you would like to experience success, we can create the environment to be that way. There are many people who are sort of the startup kind of person. They enjoy initializing a project or creating something at the beginning and then handing it over, right? But then maybe a coaching business per se is not the ideal thing in this circumstance. I don't know. Because it will mean that you're the person who's doing the business with the client. And, if you can't see yourself doing that 5 or 10 years from now, because it wouldn't mean growth, or it does, I don't know. For me, it means constant growth, right? Because I'm always learning and progressing myself in my business. But if it's for you not meeting that definition of rapid growth, then maybe there are other ways. So maybe let's look at that a little bit more then, the rapid growth definition.
Helping people grow would define rapid growth for me. And
I'm sorry, Hayley, you were cutting out a little bit.
I think helping people to grow would define rapid growth for me, which I think the coaching will do. whether I get that stuckness again, I don't know. I'm going to have to wait and see, I think. There's some soon, but I should also be paying all my attention to the coaching. There's another part of me that says, you've built it, now let somebody else deal with it. And I think that would be lovely if I could get a small income out of that. If I could do that, that would really help. Because I would still feel that I've created that and it's still part of me, and it's still ongoing. Which I don't want to lose that. I've put so much work into that business. I don't really want to lose it all, but I'm finding it hard to give it away. I'm not finding, if I sold it, I'll be like, right, sold it, gone. But I think that's part of, I don't really want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way I can manage it. For some reason, I can't manage giving it to someone and me. It's kind of what I want to do, but I'm stuck around that bit. But the coaching side of it, I want to dedicate all my time to that, and I'm enjoying. I've realised how long I've been learning about coaching, even though I didn't realise it was coaching. So I know that has been in my life for years already. Mm-hmm. So, and I haven't got bored of that yet. So I think I'm gonna like coaching. Yeah, and that isn't such a fast-paced environment, I don't think. But it's a steady. It's as much as or as little as I want it to be. That's how I feel about coaching, and I can consume myself with new information very easily with coaching, like I could with cooking, because you can read all the cookery books under the sun. But I don't know. Have I gone off track?
Not at all. And I think the point here is not to make it an either or scenario, right? Like, it's not, should I either keep the restaurant and not sell it and become a coach or not? I don't think it's really about that. It's more about, okay, let's decide, or, sort of uncover what your desired experience is. And we've actually learned a lot about that already. So you want to have growth that is somewhat, for you, feel, if it's at least tangible in some way for you, right? There's some to that. There's an element maybe of seeing that growth reflected in the financial situation. So seeing progress in the finances. And then there is this desire to be busy, because busy is exciting, and learning something new and helping people, right? And then there are a million different ways of how that can be created, either in the restaurant business, as a chef, as a personal coach, whatever you choose to do in the end. But there seems to be a sense of a calling that you have to the coaching, based on your personal backstory, that is meaningful to you. So I think the missing other ingredient that we haven't quite talked about yet is the meaning you derive from something that you immerse yourself in. There seems to be something, please tell me where I'm wrong, but there seems to be a difference between the meaning you would derive from immersing yourself and progressing the restaurant versus immersing yourself in coaching and helping individuals have better lives and experiences. Is that true?
Is it, what do you mean, a difference in what, sorry?
So is there a different feeling of meaning for you, a purpose, a different sense of purpose or meaning that you have, or that you give to making, putting all your time and effort into helping others and doing that in coaching forms? Because you can make an impact and serve people and be busy in a restaurant, but there seems to be a difference in the meaning.
Yes, definitely. Yes, and maybe that's another reason why I want to move on from the cooking side of things, because when I was doing private chef work, I that and I did some fantastic clients, but I'm enemy, and there wasn't a lot of in my work. If I left that job, they would find another chef quite easily. And I think I put more meaning into what coaches do, because although there are a lot of coaches out there, for you to find a coach that you can work with that truly can pull out of you what you mean, I think that's quite special. And I think to be able to help people and yes, I think I put the meaning of how coaches help people in a lot more said than my chef work does. I think I can contribute a lot more by being a coach than I can by being a chef. That's probably the best way of describing it. I think I can give more meaning to the people around me. Yes, I can coach them and give them a nice dinner, but it's the coaching feels it feels right.
I'm losing you just a little bit, Hayley.
Contribution.
Sorry, you're going to have to repeat that, because the connection is getting pretty wonky. No, I'm not hearing you very well. I'm not really sure what's happening. Is your internet quite okay? I have the strongest possible connection that I can have here, but you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's good. You can see me and hear me.
And I can.
Maybe we just. I mean, it could be in part because it's actually like thundering and storming and lightning outside. Maybe it has to do with that. But we're also thousands of miles apart. You're all the way in England. I'm all the way in Thailand. Let's see how that goes. It seems to have caught up a little bit, but I think one of the things that you just mentioned about the different elements of, so let's just recap also the things that we've already identified of what success really is for you. So there's an element of meaning, progress, definitely, and not just any growth, but rapid growth. Then there's got to be some busyness to it because it's exciting, and helping people. And then you also said that there was a sense of contributing a lot more by being a coach than being a chef. And that brought up something that I work and kind of come back to regularly with my clients, which is this idea of, and we've talked about this too before, of what Tony calls the 6 bottom human needs, Tony Robbins' sort of framework. And contribution and growth, so the bottom 2 needs, after certainty, uncertainty, significance, love, and connection. And we can be quite happy whilst meeting the first 4, right? Feeling some sense of certainty, feeling some sense of uncertainty or surprise or variety, significance, like we matter, right? So that's always these 6 needs are always a great, litmus test for what we have and what we're seeking. So it sounds to me like if we did this comparison, let's just do it right there, and then the people who watch this can do it alongside. So if you were to write it down on your notepad, number 1, certainty, number 2, uncertainty, you can go ahead and take the note. Yeah, let's do it right now. and then compare, because I think that'll give us some new insights also about what needs you're seeking to fulfill with your work.
Certainty.
So certainty is the same also as safety or comfort, right?
Yep.
We all have a need to meet that in some way. Number 2 is uncertainty, or also variety, surprise, adventure. The third need that we all have is significance. So feeling like we matter, we are unique, we're significant, which is kind of an interesting dynamic because we want to be different. But number 4, we also want to belong by way of meeting our needs for love and connection. Number 4 is love and connection, where we want to belong, whether it's in family, relationship, or else with our clients, right? And then number 5 is growth. And this is because everything in the universe either grows or dies. And number 6 is contribution, which is to contribute to something that is bigger than ourselves. Because if we didn't grow or didn't contribute, just having the first 4 met will not necessarily keep us happy in the long run, because there's no progress, there's no outward contribution. So you're meeting exactly those criteria. So what I want you to do is to look at these 6 needs and then rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being meh, not really at all, to 10 being like, oh my God, yes, this is like perfectly matched. I feel so much certainty in this. Yeah, for the restaurant first. So when you think about running the restaurant business, how certain do you feel about doing that work? How much certainty do you have over what happens on a daily basis? How comfortable is it in some ways? So say, for example, knowing 100% of what will happen the next day, for some people can feel really great, but for some people it's dead boring. And you already mentioned that when there's no uncertainty, it gets boring. So too much certainty for you may actually not be that desirable. So if the restaurant right now is actually quite predictable, then you would rank it at a higher number, but we would...
So it's not how I feel about the restaurant, but how the restaurant is to me. Right, okay. So, certainty in the restaurant's probably a 7, about 8.
Okay. And we'll come back to evaluating that in a bit.
Okay, uncertainty.
How much variety, surprise is there? 2.
Significance, how much it matters to me.
Like, how significant does making you being the owner of this restaurant, how significant does that make you feel? The work that you do, how much do you feel you matter as the owner of that business?
Love and connection. How much love do I have? Quite a lot. 8. Growth.
How much do you feel you grow?
And contribution, how does that work with...
Contribution, there would be like, how much do you feel you can contribute to other people via that vehicle of the restaurant, or how much does it contribute to you? Also, both ways. Oops.
Right, okay. And then do the same for the coaching.
And then you can tell us, share how that compares.
Right, okay. Quite different.
Okay, what makes you giggle? What does it look like?
Because they're so different.
Okay, share more. What are the scores?
Okay, so certainty for both I've put 8. Uncertainty and variety I've put 2 for the restaurant and 9 for the coaching. But that's because it's new, I suppose. significance, the restaurant 4, and coaching 10, love and connection, the restaurant 8, and the coaching 9, growth, the restaurant 3, and the coaching 9, and contribution 4 and 9.
Mm-hmm. So of course you'd want to coach more.
Well, yeah. But then that is the new thing in my life. And if we'd done this to the restaurant 4 years ago, it would have been a very different result.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that's quite sad.
But so what's great about this is we can look at these 6, and if you were to decide from your experiences in the past, which 2 needs are you actually seeking to meet through your business that may have been high in the beginning but are no longer, that you would like to be high? So when you look at the list, compare them, like the restaurant with the coaching, and you can see, for example, I think significance or the growth contribution were very different, right? Like one was very high, one was very low. So which of those matter to you the most? Which one would you like to have met higher on a more regular basis?
Growth, which is the lowest. Oh, not the uncertainty and the variety.
Yeah.
They're 2 huge things for me, and they've got the lowest scores.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what's going to happen day to day, and I'm not. Although we are growing, I feel a bit selfish when I say this, because I'm up for an award this year for the 2nd time, but it means nothing to me, which sounds awful. It's nice that we're up for the award. I don't really know where they've got our name from, so I just don't understand it. But to me, it's not growing the way I want it to be growing, which sounds awful. But yes, it's uncertainty. I haven't got a lot of uncertainty because I know what's going to happen day to day, even though I try and zhuzh it up a bit, and then I do get excited again. Like we're doing a reggae night, which is completely out of the blue, and that's exciting to me, and it's doing really well. I'm getting loads of people. We're nearly fully booked, because I'm putting time and effort into it. But the growth side it's just not fast enough. I'm being impatient, I think.
Well, or that's just your preference, right? You like to have growth, and you like growth fast. I mean, I think it's very common amongst the coaching professionals that they enjoy the personal growth that they have as well as the client's growth, right? There's something attractive to that. So there's no judgment necessary. What I was curious about was your own judgment around the difference between the growth perceived or the success perceived for the restaurant versus your own. And as you were speaking about being nominated for the award, you actually started grabbing your throat, right? So it's like, oh, okay, what does this mean? There seems to be some emotion around here for you around the difference between being, because you said selfish, you used the word selfish, it sounds selfish, which may lead us all the way cycling back to the school days when you were saying you were being bullied for being successful. So I was just curious, is that a reality for you, that there is a distinct difference between the restaurant doing well and what it means for you to be doing well?
Yeah, I don't see it as doing well at all. I don't see it as successful at all, really, if I'm honest. So it annoys me slightly that I won this award last year and I'm nominated for it again this year when I don't feel successful. Yeah, it's made me a bit angry. I don't understand. I'm like, why am I getting this award if I don't feel successful? That's weird. But yeah, that's how I feel. Right. And yeah, my hands are clammy. Talking about it is not comfortable at all. Talking about the business is successful. I am not comfortable at all, and that is, that's what you're saying. It's making me feel uncomfortable, because if it's successful, then that's taking me back to when I was little, I think.
So what would be the consequence of actually being successful, inward and outward?
What would be the consequence?
What do you think will happen when not only the outside perceives you as successful, but also you on the inside would?
Oh, that would be quite nice. I don't know.
Because there seems to be almost like a conflicting... Oh. Excuse me?
Sorry, no, nothing, I'm crying. Sorry.
That's okay. What's just occurred?
I don't know, I've just got upset about something. I don't know. Being successful, I suppose. I've just, maybe this wasn't such a good topic to talk about. Or maybe it was. See, this is what coaching does, blimey.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, so, okay. Yes. That's definitely got something to do with when I was small. And that's why I won't let myself feel successful. Even I still don't feel it's that successful. Yeah. And that's not fair. And that's why I work so hard.
Yeah, and this is it's almost like a catch-22, right? Like you're working extra hard to obtain things and achieve things and to be perceived. And you have been perceived as very successful in what you do for various things throughout your life. Not just a restaurant, but also your chef work, etc.
Yeah.
So you're doing that on one side because you're craving the sense of success or the feeling of fulfillment and meaning in that way. But at the same time, you almost prevent yourself from feeling it because of negative associations in the past.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've realised that before. There's that little girl doing really well at what I'm supposed to be doing at school, and then I got really bullied for it. I stopped being successful at school. In my third year, I started retaliating and not getting good grades and trying to be one of the cool kids, which is ridiculous when you look back on it as an adult. But maybe there is that element of me. If I feel successful, I'm gonna get that from people around me. I don't know. Maybe that's where that's coming from. I don't know. That me welling up then is that was a very strong feeling. I didn't notice I was putting my hands to my chest. You noticed that, but as soon as you said that, my hands are clammy. I wanted to go like this. So yeah, there must be an element of feeling that people are gonna not be my friend if I'm successful, which is not the reality in the adult world, is it? And if it is, then that's their problem, not mine. But you don't know that when you're 11, do you? No.
So of course you would want to limit yourself in the success you're feeling or you're portraying if the logical consequence on an emotional level is that you would not have your friends anymore. Right? So at that time, and this is how we often see a decision from childhood then runs our adulthood completely unconsciously in many cases, right? Until like a point like today where you're like, oh, this is what it is. Okay. So, you know, and then you can work with that awareness, of course. Then you can, you know, start to make a case for also, you know, for example, feeling successful and sharing that and attracting new friends or creating, you know, a great circle of friends or, you know, contributing to your friends. Like you can make all these new meanings as an adult then. But if your fundamental, and you know, as you were describing, like it's a very physical sensation of like, oh fuck, like if I'm successful, then I'm basically not going to be loved. And what do we know about not being good enough and not feeling loved? They're the biggest fears we have as humans. So of course you would self-sabotage and keep yourself in rein, just about successful enough to be fine and to be liked and to be seen, to be just fine.
Yeah.
But that's like a glass ceiling for you, right?
Yeah. So how do you break through that?
Well, I think, you know, a big breakthrough has already happened right there. Recognizing that. And
I just hope I could, put that into practice.
Yeah, right. And we will. And it might be a case of us just breaking this up into two. We've spoken for about an hour now. And then it might be worth just really looking at, okay, what did you make that mean at the time, and is that really true? Right now that you can look at it from an adult's perspective, you will have made certain decisions in your childhood when that happened. We didn't even talk about the detail of it today, like what was being said, etc., right? So there's much more scope to go into, okay, well, you know, because you could have decided that they're all stupid, basically, and you don't want them as friends in the first place, right? If they're bullying you for being a good student, that decision didn't happen. It was more along the lines of, oh, I have to adjust to them so I can be their friend, right? So we can talk more about that and cover that more. And I think there's a whole other session that we can have around that topic so that then for your benefit, you get to move through that and past that, and you can make new meaning, give new meaning to that. And create a definition of success that suits you today. And that meets your needs. Because if you think about it, the conflicting commitments there are, you get to choose, either I'm going to be loved and have friends, which is very important to you, clearly, or I'm going to have success. So I'd rather have friends and just a limited amount of success. Right? So what I would suggest we look at next time is, okay, well, let's make a new definition to meet both of those needs, not an either or scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. That was, unbelievable. I've never thought of it like that before. And it's quite scary. That scared me that it's taken this long for me to realise or talk through that, and you to make me realise that that's what I've been doing, which is, again, that's really quite sad that you know that a child can pick up a belief like that and run with it for, I'm 40 this year. That's really, you just think, gosh, all that hard work, and then you've got to a point and you're limiting yourself.
Yeah.
That's why I love coaching.
Right. And I think you're right. I think one last thing that I would love to ask and sort of I do an exercise around, if you will, is to have a conversation with this young girl of 11 years old, that Hayley that was in school. And if you'll allow me, if you feel comfortable enough, I would encourage you to just lean back for a moment, because I know you're kind of sitting up in your intention, and just kind of, you might even want to close your eyes and relax, your body, kind of releasing that sensation that you had also in your chest, just making a bit more space and taking maybe 1 or 2 deep breaths in, into the belly and out. Just letting the shoulders loosen up a bit after that. emotional intensity. Focusing on the right now, knowing that everything is okay. And I'd love for you to imagine being able to kneel down in front of little Hayley and looking at her eyes, beautiful eyes. She's always had beautiful eyes, right? And holding her hands or her arms. And you might either speak to her directly in your mind or just hug her and transmit heart to heart what you want her to know about what it means to be successful in school. What you know now it actually means.
That she's got to carry on working hard and rise above what other people are saying. And you'll have better friends for doing that. And you don't need to be horrible to the other people that are being horrible to you. You just need to keep going and do your own thing. And you'll have more friends because of it.
Yeah, by being herself. By staying herself. Yeah. So we want to just let our own younger self know in our heart and in our body. It's very, very powerful change on a cellular level from heart to heart to breathe that into our smaller self and let them know that just being themselves is good enough. And if these other friends don't want to be the friends, then that's their choice. It says something about them, not you. Right? One of my mentors used to say, what people say and do says something about them, not you. This really applies here too, right? If she had only known. But she also did the best that she could at the time.
Yeah, she did. Right? Bless her.
Exactly. Bless her. So then let's break it here and talk about a redefinition of success next time. And we can do this either on video or without video. We'll discuss this after the call. And then the next step will be to define what you want that to look like in an applied way with your coaching business going forwards, so that we can ensure that all of your needs are being met there. You feel growth, you feel a sense of contribution, you have that sense of variety, And I, from my own experience, I would say, there's a lot of scope to have that met in this line of work, but it's also a conscious effort, right? I've been in business now for 7 years, and it's not always been super exciting and whatnot. It's kind of it comes and grows in phases. Is my wherever my focus goes also.
Yeah.
But okay, shall we do that?
So much, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I will stop the recording. Thank you guys for watching. For those of you who were, and thank you so much, Hayley, for being brave and for sharing. It's much appreciated.
Thank you very much.